Hey, welcome back in today's video. A TikTok mom who centers her online presence around intimate relations with multiple people at the same time. Her name is Dana, aka It's Sinna Bunny. It's been alleged that she uses her child as rage bait. Multiple ex-partners have recently come forward alleging emotional and psychological abuse, and it's also been reported that she's exploiting their community, and there's some not good practices that are going on, some things that just are not safe. Some of the hypocrisy and logic absolutely bends my brain. This person seems to think that 7-year-olds can consent to being filmed, as well as she thinks that CSA cases on children are somehow more severe than others based on if they're a 16-year-old or a 12-year-old. All that and more in today's episode of Exploring TikTokers. Here we go again. If you're unfamiliar, well, you gotta log in to view this person's account because it may have some uncomfortable things. And for obvious reasons. They have 96.1 thousand followers and 2.7 million likes. They also have Instagram with 47.2 thousand followers, and also a YouTube with 592 subscribers. They also list their pronouns, they, he, and she. Their oldest TikTok video says it was posted 6/10/2020, and it's about a rooster in the Starbucks drive-thru. Her second video is about her getting straight girls in her DMs. Dana's entire social media presence revolves around poly relationships and the ins and outs of that. So if you want to learn about unicorn hunting and booty hole tattoos, this is your place, and I don't think they mean the type of unicorn that you think they mean.
You silly sleepyhead, wake up!
Dana also runs a business where she makes paddles and sells them, although a lot of these appear to have trademark properties on them. I'm scared. Jesus Christ. Using logos without authorization for commercial products, especially adult-themed ones, can lead to serious legal troubles. Things like trademark infringement, copyright infringement, brand tarnishment, violation of licensing agreements, civil lawsuits and financial penalties, and platform bans and content removal. Got some Sailor Moon, some Lilo and Stitch here, Pokemon. That song might literally get this whole entire video copyright struck. So, and paying taxes on alleged stolen art is like robbing a store and then paying sales tax on the stolen goods. It doesn't make the crime legal, assuming you're paying taxes. But maybe she did get legal permission by the Pokemon company. I mean, we just really don't know, although I would like to have been a fly on the wall of that conversation. This is the Pokemon company guidelines, restrictions. You may not use content in a way that implies partnership, sponsorship, or endorsement in a way that makes our brand or logo the most distinctive or prominent feature of what you're creating, or in conjunction with any materials considered to be, in our sole discretion, objectionable, illegal, or otherwise offensive. You shall not use any branding material in a way that tarnishes or dilutes the branding material or holds a bad light the Pokemon Company International or any of its products or services. And seeing as how TikTok seems to think your content is uncomfortable, this probably aligns. Well, I'm not here to talk about alleged art theft. I'm here because you voted for it. As you can see, about 8 days ago, what should the next video be? And nearly 4,000 votes, and It's Sinna Bunny got 48%. And some of the things that people were reporting and saying was, Sinna Bunny is a monster. Do them next, please. Sinna Bunny, this person is flat out insane. You should definitely do Sinna Bunny. This person has so much crazy lore. Crying face emoji. It literally just kept going and going. And when I looked into it, there were some very concerning things. But first and foremost, everything in this video is alleged. Do not go attacking anybody I speak about in this video.
Hi, hello, it's me, Dana.
And before we get started, I got a message to Dana. You know, I might not have made this video, but I don't think you've ever heard of what the Streisand effect is. So when you DM'd me and subtly tried to threaten me into silence, which you're not the first creator to try to do something like that here on the internet, it really got me curious and wanting to look deep. And the things that I talk about in this video, most of it's from your own mouth. And we're going to go over it. We're going to lay it out, and we're going to see where we go. And then you started deleting things, like your Reddit. But don't worry, lucky for you, I actually was already researching you well before you did that. So I got everything that I needed. See, what I do is I sometimes kind of like put feelers out and tell people I'm making videos, and then kind of sit back and see what the reaction's going to be, and you wouldn't believe how many times people usually start going to delete things. And as the Streisand effect dictates, I must look into it. Now we're going to go over her preemptive strike. I'm going to kind of break it down and show you what was actually going on here and why you don't respond to things like this. And the reason that I'm doing this is because it's reflective over things that she's done in the past that I've seen, some trends, some things that are patterns. Pause for today's sponsor, and since this person threatens lawsuits so much, you're gonna love this one. You know what's really frustrating? Getting injured in an accident and not knowing where to start. The paper, the cause, the uncertainty, it can feel like a nightmare. And have you ever wondered if your injury could be worth millions? Well, it might be. But here's the problem. Traditional law firms make it so complicated. We've all heard stories of insurance companies lowballing victims. It's not fair, but it happens every day. Have you ever had to deal with the endless back and forth just trying to get what you deserve? It is exhausting. That's why I'm excited to tell you about today's sponsor, Morgan & Morgan. They're not just any law firm. They are America's largest injury law firm with over 1,000 attorneys fighting for you if you become their client. For over 30 years, Morgan & Morgan has been helping people get the compensation they deserve. And when I say results, I mean life-changing results. Like $12 million awarded in Florida, that's 34 times the insurance company's original offer, or $26 million in Philadelphia, which was 40 times higher. Morgan & Morgan makes it easy for you if you become their client. You can file your claim right from your phone, no hassle. And the best part, it's completely free unless you win your case. That's right, no upfront costs, no risk to you. If you've been seriously injured, don't wait. You can go to forthepeople.com/repzilla, or you can scan the QR code right here on the screen. It just takes a few minutes, and you could be just one click away from changing your life completely. Morgan & Morgan, for the people. And again, thank you to Morgan & Morgan for sponsoring this video and what we do. Back to the video. Hey Repzilla, I heard you might be considering a deep dive video on me, and I just wanted to reach out directly. You're absolutely welcome to cover me if you feel like it's worth your time. I know how the internet works. I'm not here to stop anyone from making content. So we gotta read between the lines here. The opening is meant to make them seem approachable and reasonable, that they won't be irrationally hostile at any pieces on them. That said, I do have a very large hate group that is committed to tearing me down, so I'd encourage you to fact check anything you come across. Yeah, you know, I really appreciate the help. I planned on taking everything at face value and not fact checking everything. Thank you for the tip. So basically what this is called framing the narrative. By saying that she's got a large hate group, it sort of frames criticism against them as part of an organized smear campaign rather than legitimate concerns. And also something I've heard before. If you have any questions or want clarification on anything, I'm more than open to having a conversation. In my experience, the offer to ask questions and have clarifications on things is a strategic attempt to control the narrative. If she had just reached out to talk, I would have probably talked, but this is not what this is. This is loaded PR jargon where she wants to frame a narrative. I know my truth and I don't lose sleep over what other people choose to believe about me. If your video sticks to typical commentary, comedy, or normal internet hearsay, I'll take it in stride. But if anything is wildly inaccurate or defamatory, I do have legal representation that will get involved as necessary. While phrased diplomatically, the mention of legal representation is meant to be a threat. You don't want me to make this video, even though you say it won't bother you. By saying that you'll accept typical commentary, comedy, or internet hearsay in stride, you are attempting to influence my narrative, and obviously you have not watched any of my videos. Either way, I just wanted to extend the offer to chat. If you're interested, let me know. Dana here, Sinna Bunny. This is not a reach out and talk to me. This is a PR and veiled intimidation. You're not open to criticism, you're trying to steer me away from it. Calling everyone a hate group is deflection. If multiple sources criticize you, it's not a hate group, it's a pattern. And then you try to silence me, as if you're the first to try something like that here on the internet. You know, if this didn't bother you, you wouldn't have sent this message. And imagine my surprise when I found out this isn't the first time she's done something like this. We'll talk more about it later. You see, apparently October 19th, 2015, Dana got married to a guy named Matthew Hare. Matthew, it turns out, has a record of terrible things. As you can see, it's quite decorated. We have possession, driving under the influence, several battery charges, some severe, some involving children. It is important for me to say alleged on some of these situations because they could still be ongoing or they could be picked back up. We will be going over some of these later. One thing I noticed over the last decade is that Dana will call everyone that has criticism towards her haters, hate groups. And so one hater alleges, Fun fact, she's still legally married to a P3DO and rapist, and called the woman and girls who spoke out against him a hate club. This man also strangled her infant daughter, and she keeps his last name. Why would this hater say something like that? Oh, it's because you said it. Now it's 2018, August the 16th, and I'm at work. Matt's at home. Well, my parents are home watching blank while I work. I get a concerned text message about a rash. I hurry home from work, and the rash seems alarming. So we take her to the emergency room. I don't get a lot of questions answered. I don't know what's happening. The doctors tell me they know it's not a rash, but don't know much else. Suddenly, late night, the cops show up with DCF. DCF being Florida's version of CPS. As you can see, it's the Florida Department of Children and Family Services. The cops show up with DCF and we're all being questioned. Turns out it wasn't a rash. It was this P word. Petechia. It's petechia, and I know you want to know the definition. Tiny pinpoint red or purple spots that appear on the skin due to bleeding under the surface. You're welcome. Specifically, asphyxiation, strangulation, and loss of airflow to the brain, or at least that's how the cops explained it to me. I told them what I knew. I was at work, she was in Matt's care. Of course, they asked me if I thought Matt could be capable of harming our daughter. I knew he was capable, but I froze and said, I don't know. Because realistically, everything was happening really fast, and I jumped to thinking nobody was capable of harming an innocent baby, let alone their own. But I'm realizing now I was very wrong and very lucky that my little girl's still with me. The day upon getting released from the hospital, DCF showed up to our house and ordered Matt out of the home and not to have any contact with blank without agreed upon supervision, being my parents or his parents. While in the hospital, blank underwent full body bone scan and x-ray, and to this day I haven't seen the results of that. Though I have questioned them, as far as my understanding goes, Matt was heavily investigated by the police and DCF, and then the case was just closed. I didn't tell the DCF agent on my case that Matt could have done something like this. She also shared this story more recently on an Instagram post. I also want to share something deeply personal. When my daughter was less than a year old, Matt hurt her and I didn't witness it happen. But when I was confronted by the police in a hospital setting late at night, they asked if I thought he was capable of such a thing. Out of fear, and because Matt was with me at the time, I said, I don't know, instead of the truth. Yes, I believe he was capable. I was much younger then, scared, hurt, and traumatized, and unsure of what to do. To this day, the moment is one of my deepest regrets. Looking back, I wish I had been brave enough to speak the truth in that moment, but I cannot change the past. What I can do now is speak openly and honestly about who he is and advocate for accountability and the justice for all of the people he's hurt, including my daughter. This is a terrible thing that happened, and if all this is true, then that dude needs to be locked up behind... Oh my God, it's so bad. Like, he needs to be locked away. And you've said on multiple occasions how much you despise this person. I've been separated from my legal husband for over 7 years because he's been intentionally dragging out the process. In that time, he's been in and out of jail a few times and is representing himself, which has caused endless delays. We're still waiting for trial, hopefully early this year, so I can finally finalize the divorce and marry the man that I actually share my life with and refer to as my husband. Fingers crossed, it's been a long, exhausting journey. New rule, you bring up my ex-husband or baby daddy on my page, you get blocked, that's it. I effing hate that guy, and I don't want to talk about him or see comments about him, thanks. Pretty much married scum separated as soon as our daughter was born, who I've been raising alone and financially covering with no help to baby daddy. And divorce is expensive, and he won't chip in. I see the legal proceedings, you are still married. I hope that you get the divorce that you want, but there's just a lot of things that don't add up. Now, this whole time, I have one girl I know telling me all these terrible things about Matt. Alleged things, of course. You all know what I'm talking about. Now, keep in mind that she said you all know what I'm talking about. I also have 3 more girls I don't really know telling me all these same similar terrible alleged things about Matt, but I don't even know them. I went to high school with one of them, and we had ceramics class together, but I feel like I knew Matt way more than I knew even one girl I can claim to be an old acquaintance. But the one girl I knew, she pushed me mentally the same way my mom pushed me as a kid with listening to Fall Out Boy. I wanted to rebel. I wanted attention. I wanted to be a big deal. I wanted to prove something. I don't know what I was trying to prove. I don't think I knew what kind of attention I was getting myself into, but I was too far gone. I started calling these girls the Matt Hate Club. And instead of using love and reason to get to me and help me realize the mistakes I was making, they used scare tactics and fear, the way they approached me. So you had 4 different women telling you terrible alleged things about the dude that you were getting with. There were articles posted detailing 7 girls, some as young as 15 years old, and you still proceeded with the relationship. So you're saying the reason that you stayed with this dude was because you wanted attention. You wanted to rebel. You then call the women haters and blame them for not using love and reason to help you. The article came out January 6, 2016, and it's only a 6-minute read. So I know you read the article and you still called these women haters. And I can't even read all the alleged things in this post on YouTube. It's important to note you wrote this in 2019. There were no apologies. You said, I don't want to talk about this further. You can comment, so you can leave praise. You can tell me I am strong or whatever other cliches you can think of, but I don't want to engage with this conversation further about any of this. And to the Matt Hair Hate Club, I know y'all will see this. You can reach out to me in civil means. I don't want any I told you so moments. I don't want to be friends. I don't want drama, just some solidarity. If that's not what you're looking for, please continue to leave me alone. So again, there were no apologies. You expected to be called strong and still called these women haters. One hater alleges completely dismissing a handful of women and their experiences with Matt is a sign, to me at least, that she will apologize for an abuser even before knowing what all they did. Even to this day, she still says she had reason not to believe those women because they weren't nice to her for defending her husband against them. She still doesn't see them as victims. Another saying, yes, the idea that victims should behave a certain way is really harmful. Another saying, she claimed that they asked in front of Matt if she thinks he's capable of doing something like that. I'm pretty sure that's against protocol. Usually they take you to a private room or question you separately. Let's look it up and see if it's true. According to the U.S. Department of Justice, interviews with victims should occur in safe, private setting, away from the suspect or anyone who may influence or intimidate the victim. World Health Organization, never interview a woman in the presence of her partner. Privacy and confidentiality are critical to ensure her safety and encourage disclosure. National Domestic Violence Hotline, it's important to give them space and speak to them away from the abuser, where they feel safe. And RAIN, make sure the environment is private and that the survivor feels physically and emotionally safe before you begin asking any questions. Also, if you are in a bad situation, here is the number for RAIN. They will help you in these situations. It's also this year's fundraiser. To the right on desktop below on mobile, let me know if you guys have donated. I really appreciate you doing that if you do decide to do that. So explain to me, Dana, in what ways your own words are incorrect here. As we've walked through it, it seems like everything that was alleged, you verified. Other thing is why in God's name are you still defending this man to this day? Especially after you said all the negative things you've said about him. It doesn't make sense to me. And the strangest hills you climb. One hater alleging now she's trying to reframe Matt Hair's crimes and gives the impression of minimizing them because they weren't little girls. That's not what happened. Like 16, it's not about age alone, it's about consent, power dynamics, and the harm that was caused. Dana's conduct in these videos is dangerous and harmful.
People hear something and they take that inch and they run a full mile. I'm really, really getting sick and tired of people confusing my ex, Matt, with Eli. Eli has never touched anyone underage. And my ex, Matt, has not touched, like, little girls. People are like, I heard he... a 4-year-old, and I'm like, no, that's not what happened. She was like 16 or 17 and he was like 19 or 20. Do with that information as you will.
This is gross logic, and it is the minimizing of CSA, and it's a little bit contradictory because she's already admitted to knowing these alleged things. Like I said earlier, she knew what everyone was talking about. Like, that is the thing. Let's go read. One girl alleging another underage girl says that last year, Hair got her and her underage sister passed out drunk on whiskey. She'd never been drunk before. Another alleging she was 15. He would have been 22. She has not reported the incident to police. If proved, Hair could be convicted of lewd and lascivious just for having had intercourse with her. Another one saying that he was mad because she didn't want to hook up with him and He grabbed the sheet, wrapped it around her face, and punched her. So YouTube won't let me talk about the alleged situations within detail. It's against their guidelines, but I can read you the voicemail. On October 15th at 3:25 p.m., FWM posted a message on a private Facebook group funded by Hare's alleged victims, seeking to speak with women who have been hurt by Hare. He was not identified by name. At 5:29 p.m. that day, I received this voicemail at the phone number provided in the post. Hello. So at this point in time, Dana was married to Matt. Hello, this voicemail is being recorded solely for legal purposes and can be subpoenaed to court if necessary. Good afternoon. My name is... omitted. I am the wife of Matthew Hare, the person whom you, alongside with, is attempting to create a news narrative article about a blank case. This is something we have dealt with individually, personally, legally prior to the police. They have declaratively decided to be in mumbling Matthew Hare defendant's honor through legal documentation, nothing further. No legal action has been taken against Matthew, and publishing aforementioned article on their behalf is only slanderous against the police and defendant in question. I strongly advise against being coerced to publish any article related to this specific event. If you have any questions, contact my attorney. FWM called the attorney and learned that another attorney in the firm represents Hare and is in a pending criminal case. He's currently facing charges of battery and contributing to the delinquency of a child. The second attorney did not respond, multiple requests for comment. FWM left multiple messages at the number from which the young woman called, seeking comment from her and or Hare. Neither returned messages. They also knocked on the door of a house. There was no answer, and they left a note. No one responded. So let's just take a look at one of his charges. So this one's a felony. Contributing to the delinquency of a child unlawfully did provide alcohol, which did tend to cause, encourage, or contribute to blank a child to become a delinquent or dependent child or a child in need of services. Specifically, sometime between October 18th to 25 and 2014, Matthew Hare, with a closed right hand making a fist, did in fact punch blank, a juvenile, in the left eye 2 times. As a result of this punch, blank suffered a black eye. While blank was with Matthew Hare on numerous occasions since February provided her with alcohol, which she consumed, and blank which she smoked. Matthew Hare would intimidate blank into doing things with him to get her to go to places with him. Blank is now under the care of a mental health doctor because of these incidents. So that was count 1. Here's count 2. On or about February 1st, 2014 through October 25th, 2014, in the county of St. John, state of Florida, unlawfully did on various occasions provide alcohol and cannabis to A.N.M. and engage in inappropriate relations with A.N.M., which did tend to cause, encourage, or contribute to A.N.M., a child, to become delinquent or dependent child or a child in need of services, contrary to Florida Statute 827.041A. So more recently, she responded to the voicemail that was left. One hater alleges, isn't your husband a P3DO and didn't you threaten his victims with a lawsuit? She responds saying, X, and we've been separated for almost a decade. Another hater alleging, so it's fair to say that you threatened his victims with a lawsuit. I'm generally just curious since you didn't address it in your answer. I just would like some clarification, to which she responds, that's not exactly what happened. This was over 10 years ago at a very dark time of my life, while I was using substances and don't wish to bring it up. It's a time in my life I deeply regret. Now, as we saw earlier, that sure did appear to be exactly what had happened. This voicemail is being recorded solely for legal purposes and can be subpoenaed to court if necessary. And that wasn't over 10 years ago. Specifically, the voicemail was about 9 years. You also talked about him again in 2019, and you still seem to be defending him more recently, so...
Yeah, as far as I am aware, as far as my knowledge goes, my ex, Matt, has not been with anyone under the age of 16 or 17. Okay? Okay? That's still not great. But if we could, stop the narrative of, diddling, elementary school kids, that would be phenomenal. And if we could stop confusing him with Eli, that would be phenomenal. Okay? If y'all could take this to your little, hate groups and, I don't know, tell people that would be phenomenal. Super. Thank you.
It's actually crazy to me that she sees all of these people, these haters, this criticism as hate groups. even though it's been concentrated groups that at some occasions had nothing to do with her, and she still called them the Matt hate group. I'm seeing a pattern. Also, this looks like obfuscation, adding in that people are confusing Eli and Matt in comparison to her defense of Matt hurting children. No one's confusing that. There are articles and court documents, not to mention you've talked about it on multiple occasions. See, this kind of rhetoric can minimize the severity of alleged crimes. One hater sends her a DM, having inappropriate relations with a 16 or 17-year-old as an adult, especially with over a 2-year age gap, is diddling kids. Come on now. 16 or 17-year-olds cannot consent. They haven't learned anything about what consent really is. To which she says, I'm not saying it's not, but people are coming at me like he's blanked 24-year-olds. Jesus Christ. The hater goes on to say, do you think it's important to distinguish age in CSA? I don't think one is worse than the other. Prepubescent, postpubescent is still CSA. One is not more okay than the other. And you should know that by making it seem like there's a difference, that you place value or importance in one type. Here's this strange hill I was talking about. Yes, I do think it's important to distinguish the age. ABUSC of a toddler looks different from the grooming of a teenager, and the legal and psychological responses may vary. That said, no matter the age, any CSA is unacceptable and should be treated seriously, but distinguishing age correctly is important. Again, I grew up with these people and understand all angles of the controversy. The child's mother approved the relationship, and she should be held at fault just as much for child endangerment as well. It was a huge controversial issue when it happened in my hometown, but I'm a huge advocate for people not talking out of their effing asses and speaking on facts. They said, you said he didn't diddle kids, but he did. To be clear, saying things of this nature downplays the seriousness, and then you say that people are overreacting essentially minimizes the severity instead of directly condemning it. That is not a hill that you want to die on. It's been alleged that she's defending an adult who had an inappropriate relationship with a minor by downplaying the situation and shifting blame, arguing that distinguishing the ages of children in ABUSC cases being important and suggesting that because the child was older or the mother approved is somehow less serious can be, and is, harmful logic. We don't need a false hierarchy that minimizes trauma, but honestly, I'm not surprised that you said that, because you said this. I see kids or children as like little kids. I see 16-year-olds as teen. All minors, but it feels weird to call a 16-year-old a child. That's the language I use. The hater says, a teenager is a child. She says, a teenager is a minor. Oh man, holy crap. You might call them a child, but I call them minors or teens. It doesn't matter your language because, the law in the United Nations, the United States of America, minors are children. Under the age of 18, children. The hater says, what's the point in distinction? They still have the same capacity to consent as, let's say, a 12-year-old. Meaning equals they don't. So what's the point? She says language is nuanced. The hater says language is finite. They have universal definitions for a reason. The hater owned you. You got owned by the hater. Legally and ethically, a 16-year-old is a child. A minor is a child. They can't legally or meaningfully consent. It's not nuanced. Why would you argue this? Why? Anyways, now we gotta talk about this one. She posted this. It says, anyways, here's the video that started the conversation on can a 7-year-old consent? But y'all know I posted this knowing it would ruffle all feathers, and it wasn't even my idea to film it. It was my tiny humans. Oh my God, I gotta take a break. My head hurts like right here in this area. I'm gonna take a break. I'll be right back. So you want us to believe that you're just rage baiting after everything we just read. You're actually saying, can a 7-year-old consent? And then at the end you say, it wasn't your idea to film it. It was your tiny humans. Do you not see that you're actively exposing yourself? And do you really think it's possible for a 7-year-old to consent? One hater saying, this child has no idea what consent is. She's just saying the script you gave her.
Think that kids your age understand consent?
I don't really know. It has to be the type of the child. Like, if a 7-year-old understands and their parents want to teach them early, like I get it, but like if they don't and they're 7 and they just don't know, maybe I don't know.
So it just depends on the maturity of the kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it depends on what the parent wants to do with the kid. Teach them earlier or teach them in life.
Yeah. And we taught you really early what consent meant.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I'm just a 7-year-old.
Jesus Christ, children can't consent to be filmed. Involving them in personal drama is weird. One hater saying, I'm just a 7-year-old is so sad. It really was.
Tiny Human, can I ask you a question? And is it okay if I record it and put it on my social media?
Yep.
Okay. Do you remember Mommy's friend Maze? We're not friends anymore, but she was friends with Mommy and Gabby.
Yeah.
And she had a daughter that was your age that used to come over here and hang out with you.
Yeah.
When she came over and hung out with you, what did you guys used to do?
We would play on the pole or go into the pool, random toy box, or the kitchen.
You would play on the pole, go out in the pool.
If it was out there.
Yeah, the little blow-up pool we used to have. Or you would play in your play kitchen.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Just wanted to ask.
Okay.
Somehow this is all about to get more questionable. Did you hear her say something about playing on the pole? This is a child on a pole, an X-pole, in a room that she's not supposed to be in. As you can see, I've had to blur several inappropriate things here as well. Apparently these photos were posted by Dana herself, who denies that these were posted by her, but also acknowledges they were. One hater saying, how can you want to keep your kid off social media yet post photos of her on a pole? Dana saying, the photo was posted on a friends and family only account. I only post her on a friends and family only account, as do most parents. You posted her on social media. That is the criticism. You posted her on social media. Apparently CPS was called. Dana posts saying, here's the thing, the internet doesn't need to know everything about my life. I can and will keep things to myself, but unfortunately, when you've got a hate group constantly trying to spin a narrative, sometimes the truth comes out, and it doesn't always come out directly from me, and things look messy. So let's clear this up. CPS came to my house once in December 2023. After the We're Polly, my kid has 6 adult caretakers video went mega viral in the millions. And they said that, she had to say in the millions, and they said they were called to her home to question if 4 couples, 8 adults were living in the home. While in the home, they asked to tour it, to make sure we had essentials and ask our daughter some questions. And they left. That was the end of it. They said my kid She says that was the end of it and then goes on to explain more of it. They said my kid is restricted from 2 areas. The red room. Obviously, we all know what that room is for, and she has always been restricted from this space. What about the pictures that you posted? She's always been restricted from this space and the downstairs living room unless I remove certain pieces of artwork that is aggressively obscene in nature. That's it. So I'm replacing and moving the obscene artwork into the red room where it belongs and life goes on. You know what they didn't have an issue with? My personal bedroom. That means yes, even with the giant banana painting hanging on the wall and my toy shelf, it was a non-issue. I don't understand why you think that is what... This is not the criticism. Honestly, it was just easier to say my kid doesn't come in my room because I knew the internet would be up in arms about yet another parenting choice of mine. But that's the thing. The internet doesn't need to know everything about me. Unfortunately, this was a truth that got out anyway. And it sucked that it didn't come from me first. But oh well, oh well. So, wait a minute. You say here that you don't tell the truth, and you say up here you're not going to tell the truth. And you know why I do agree that you don't owe your whole life to the internet? You seem to tell your whole life to the internet. Like, did you really have to say that you wasn't going to tell the truth? Also, if you've made it this far in the video and you're enjoying, consider smashing that subscribe button. Thank you. People can gossip, spread rumors, and try to vilify me, but facts are facts. If you're going to talk about me, at least get the truth straight. My kid is safe, my parenting is solid, and my home, while a little unconventional, is exactly that, my home. It seems to me that you're the one putting all this stuff out here. That's just, an observation. Statement 2. I want to address recent claims regarding the art in my home and clarify my stance as a parent. First, my child is not allowed in spaces within the home that could be considered for grown-ups. That has been the case since late December 2023 following the visit from CPS due to an anonymous report about concerns regarding certain inappropriate items and artwork. The agreement was made at the time and it was clear. I would either cover or remove certain artwork or ensure my child no longer has access to those spaces. I chose the latter, and my child has not entered those areas since. So just so I understand, the kid isn't allowed in there anymore. That's good. But I'm a little uneasy since you shared with us that you also withhold information and don't tell the truth about these specific things. So, specifically going in the space that they're not supposed to be in. Why do you say these things? It like, are you rage baiting? Am I being rage baited? This next folder is a doozy. She has group parties where people get together and film content. A lot of people come. Strangers. At her house while her child is there. Strangers. Same house. Here's her talking to the group. Sinna Bunny Slumber Party January. Some new people have been added to the group, so I wanted to repost the situation in house rules. Oh, buddy, these house rules. Okay, most of y'all have been here before, but there's a few new faces, so a little backstory and some house rules. We live in a split-level house, and downstairs is a whole setup for content. There's a living room, a small kitchenette, a full-size bathroom, and bedroom. Y'all will have free, full range of downstairs. Upstairs is my family space. You're welcome to be upstairs, but why? You're welcome to be upstairs, but be dressed appropriately. Eli and I have a 5-year-old daughter, and she will be home. Additionally, my mother lives with us, and she is terminally ill with stage 4 lung cancer. Oh my God. My mother knows what we do for work and is supportive and aware that we need to host these collaborations for safety of people in our community and to literally keep the roof over our head. My daughter, at an age-appropriate level, also understands what we do for work. You what? Did you just say? What? My daughter, at an age-appropriate level, also understands what we do for work, and we have hosted a few collabs downstairs before, and she is very aware when mommy and daddy are working downstairs, she's absolutely not allowed downstairs whatsoever. And then there's a little emphasis off to the side. What I mean by she knows what we do at an age-appropriate level is my little one knows mommy is a photographer and takes pictures of other people and we make TikToks together. It's okay, so here's my question. If it's just that you take photos and TikToks, why did you feel it necessary to say, my daughter at an age-appropriate level also understands what we do for work? I am aware this is a unique situation and wouldn't generally be ideal, but we have no other family in the local area, and we feel comfortable opening our home up still regardless because of our unique split-level home, and if you have to ask any questions, feel free. We are doing this on weekdays specifically because flights are a little bit cheaper, but also because my daughter is in school weekdays, and that buys us more time to be loud and obnoxious and do whatever. My God, what am I reading? No inappropriate stuff upstairs at any time. Do not get my couches wet. They are from the 1920s in velvet. Feel free to make reasonable content on them. Don't intentionally wipe your lube hands on them or anything. No smoking inside. We're, leaf friendly? In the garage or on the back porch. Vapes are fine inside and downstairs only. This next one is a specification of which room to go to while the kid is home. Between the hours of 4 and 8, when kiddo is home from school and before she goes to bed, I ask that all content is made in the red room and not the living room because noise carries differently. Content can be made in the living room late night, but during the day, but not just between 4 hours. If you're driving, we have, oh man, you said noise carries and you said they can go back in the living room at late night. That's when your daughter's sleeping. If you're driving, we have plenty of street parking available. If you're flying, please fly into the Nashville airport code BNA. This is me and Eli's home. Please just treat our home with respect. No drama with other creators. I will ask you to leave on your dime. We have a home liquor bar in our creative space. We are more than happy to share, but do not want to be ransacked. Help yourself, but if you drink, our Venmo and Cash App listed on the bar. Reimburse us for what you use. Also, we're making some corn, y'all. That's the point of the collab. Please get tested soon before you come, but not too soon that you're waiting on test results while you're here. Schedule a test, and if you gotta practice abstinence for a few days before the collab, please do. Let's all take this professionally and seriously. I am aware that some people in the group have HSV1 or HSV2. It is not my place to out y'all, but I expect everyone to be open and honest about their test results. You have people with STDs at your parties? My God. And she 100% has these strangers around her child because she posted about it. The juxtaposition of posting a corn collab and then having some of the talent sit down and eat dinner with my mom and kid. I want my collaborators to rail me, but also be boyfriend material. That is peak degeneracy. One hater alleges, most credible corn stars wouldn't show up to a house of a terminally ill woman to shoot corn for days on end, especially not with a 5-year-old present. And certainly not with people who have non-curable illnesses that the host is refusing to disclose for everyone's safety. Dana did respond to this saying,
Would like to address concerns about
activities and my child, specifically the life between me and my husband. So let's address this bizarre obsession with what my husband and I do behind closed doors and the completely unfounded concern that my child is somehow exposed to it. First of all, normal parents have sex when their kids are home. This should not be a shocking revelation to you. Kids go to sleep, parents engage in activities, and life goes on. The difference is that when we're partaking in activities that might be louder or more involved or we take deliberate precautions to ensure privacy and keep things entirely separate from our child. When we engage in these activities, we go downstairs into our red room, which was intentionally designed for this purpose. Let me make this crystal clear. The red room is not just a spare corner of our home. It is a space built with privacy and soundproofing in mind. It's not just behind one door between the room and the rest of the house. It's behind two doors. Both of those doors are lockable. So the idea that my child could accidentally stumble in or hear anything is pure fiction. For those asking, what if she needs you in the middle of the night? I've already thought of that too. For starters, I always have my phone on me, and I'm always wearing my Apple Watch, and she knows how to text me if she needs me for anything. On top of that, every room in our home, including our red room, is equipped with an Echo Dot device set up with intercom communications. We had these installed in every single room in our home when I was taking care of my mom with cancer in case she needed us, and they've continued to be a very nice accessory to our house. My daughter can reach me instantly if something comes up, and I can respond without hesitation. Let me emphasize this for the people in the back. There is no way for my child to hear anything that happens in this room. When Eli is in here with other people, the rest of the house is silent. I can stand upstairs and not hear anything. I've stood in every possible location of upstairs to ensure that there is no sound leakage, and there isn't. The same goes for when I'm down here with someone else. It's just private. It's practically its own soundproof world. These concerns are nothing more than baseless speculation from people who clearly don't understand how responsible parents operate. I protect my child's innocence and her boundaries, and I take her well-being seriously in every aspect of my life. This hyperfixation on my personal life is absurd and says far more about the people perpetuating these rumors than it does about me or my parenting.
She's trying to make it seem like having relations at home is normal, but that's not the issue. The concern is she's alleged to be hosting intimate parties with multiple strangers in the same home with her child. That's not about private relationships. That's about repeatedly exposing your child to risky, inappropriate environments. And trying to downplay it by framing it as normal would be deeply irresponsible. She claims she's being responsible by using soundproof red room for intimate parties, but that's bad logic. Physical barriers don't erase the fact that she's bringing multiple strangers into the same home where her child lives. It's not just about noise or doors. It's about exposing a child to chaotic, unsafe environments. Responsible parenting isn't just about keeping things hidden. It's making sure they don't happen in the child's space at all. And the other thing is she's talking about the red room being soundproof, but she makes it seem like it's the entire room when she clearly said herself not to make content in the living room because noise carries. Noise carries. And then you say when she goes to bed, content can be made in the living room while she's sleeping, where noise carries. You said that. This is your words. She argues keeping her phone on her and installing Echo Dots in every room, including the red room, ensures the child can always reach her. But that's dangerously flawed logic. Tech devices aren't a substitute for active parenting, especially when she's hosting intimate parties with strangers in the same house. Leaving a child alone upstairs while engaging in these type of activities downstairs doesn't become safe just because Alexa can hear them. It highlights a complete lack of appropriate boundaries and judgment. Haters have said for multiple reasons that you are the last person that they would take parenting advice from. One of these reasons is because you keep exposing your daughter's name to the internet. So it's alleged that she doxed herself here in her own story. This white part is where the alleged address was. It's censored out. Here in her story, she says, my daughter's last name is blank. It just feels weird to me that a mom would go out of her way to make it so available to the internet. And even worse is this hypocrisy. She posted saying, something maybe a little silly that bothers me is when corn stars have their kids' names and birthdays tattooed on them in obvious spots that are very legible. I get it, you probably got that tattoo before when you were not in the industry, but put makeup over it for your scenes. If you know you shouldn't show your kid's face for safety reasons when you're in the industry, cover their names too. This is also an easy way to get yourself doxxed. I'm just saying. I don't know. Maybe this is a hot take. I also found what appears to be a hypocritical post. It doesn't make any logical sense and resembles to me what seems like delusion.
Adult corn farming industry. And because of that, I don't show my child on social media. I always refer to her as tiny human. I don't really give a lot of details about her, and I don't post her face. And that is because kids and corn farming do not go together. The hot take that I have is I see other corn farmers that are parents having their kids' full name and sometimes even their birthday, like in Roman numerals or something like that, tattooed to them, like in very visible places. And I'm out here by my full government name. I have long doxed myself. I wrote a book. I wrote it under my government name. Like, my government name is really easily accessible. But for most people in the adult industry, their government name is hidden for privacy, for secrecy, for safety. But if you have your child's full government name tattooed across your chest with their birthday in Roman numerals, what are you doing? And I understand that you probably have that tattoo like before you got into the industry, but if you're not going to put your child's face on social media, then you shouldn't put their full government name in your adult work. You can go out, buy good foundation, cover it up for your scenes. Like I said, I know that maybe this is a hot take and maybe that's a lot of work, but if you don't want to be doxxed and you want to keep your kids safe, especially when you're online as a spicy entertainer, try your hardest to protect your kids in every aspect possible. I don't know.
She actually did this very thing and blamed the haters for outing her daughter's name, even though she's been giving out the birth date and public information for the last at least 6 years. So this is her, and she's got her daughter's first name tatted exactly where she was just criticizing. I've blurred it here. Says, well, anyways, I guess I couldn't call her tiny human forever, but thanks for ruining that for me before I was ready to do it for myself at my own speed. What are you talking about? You have publicly put her name. How do you think people knew her name in the first place? One hater alleging her daughter's name and pictures were publicly posted on Facebook months ago, not to mention that she posted the tattoo, albeit to her close friend's story, but posted by Dana nonetheless. She put her daughters out there, not us. This has no sense of accountability. And when she was asked about this, she simply said she changed her mind. What happened to blurring your daughter's name tattoo when you do SW? She said, changed my mind. Everywhere I look with this topic, there's so much illogical and fallacious rhetoric. Here she says that a name change is $10,000. For example, she says, I'm sorry you feel that way, but I do not. A lot of people reclaim names and words. For example, the word the Q-U-E-E-R word used to be a slur, and now it's used in joy by the LGBT community. My maiden name also has traumatic ties to it, so there's no point in spending money on going back to that. A name is a name, and I feel like I've reclaimed it and made it my own. $10,000 on a name change? That's better spent elsewhere. Number one, that's not true at all. A name change is significantly cheaper. In Tennessee, the cost to change your name through the court system typically ranges from $166.50 to $243.50, depending on the county and whether you are changing your name in person or virtually. And number two, that analogy isn't true at all. That name was reclaimed by an oppressed group. Your name isn't a slur, it's a personal identity. False equivalences can equal manipulation, especially if somebody's trying to apply the emotional weight of a civil rights struggle to their personal narrative. But there appears to be more. Again, had to blur her daughter's name, but she posted saying, "Hi, FAGS." Okay, no, but seriously, let's have a quick chat about marginalized people reclaiming slurs. Just like she was trying to reclaim the word QUEER, she tries to do it with the word FAG. One hater saying, "While I agree that we should reclaim words that used to hurt us, that's not what you did. You in fact used a slur against people that made you mad. It's not reclaiming if you're using it to hurt others." She says, "You're right. I can own that, and I used the word FAG as a way to call out people who have been rude or hurtful towards me. In the heat of the moment, I didn't think about the full impact, and I can see how that might be different from reclaiming it in a way that empowers. I also used Reddit FAG because it's a term that gets thrown around on Reddit when people get frustrated with others beyond just me. I appreciate you calling me out, and I'm always open to learning more about how we use language responsibly while still owning our identities. Thanks for the perspective." But this is how she was defending herself. This is a pinned comment. Says also to add, in other parts of the world, FAG just means cigarette, and FAGGOTS are literally meatballs. Like, you could be in the UK asking for FAGGOTS and peas at a pub, and no one would blink. Heck, FAGGOTS even get a shout out in the Christmas music. Language is wild, and context is everything. And I guess she forgets on social media that people from the UK exist. Actually, as someone who lives in the UK, a lot of people don't like people saying that for cigarettes or meatballs, smiley face. Also, the meatballs are disgusting and not popular nowadays. Anyways, anyone with common decency says cigarette, not the word you mentioned. Just don't want people thinking everyone in the UK is accepting of this. One hater says, "What does she know about what people commonly say in the UK? She's never left the US. I live in the UK, and no one uses that word to mean meatballs here." And to me, it was a priori, common sense, but that's just me. She goes on to say, "Very interesting. I love learning. Is it a specific type of meatball that got the name, or just any old meatball? Language is silly." Come on, guys. Come on. It's like, this is like, you can see through this. One hater alleges, "Hey, so let's work on how we were outed as a groomer and forced younger girls to do weird favors for your OF or for your husband, which was completely icky. Also, don't delete this comment, but address it, because it's very weird to see people in my community do things and give terrible representation of us." She responds saying, "Every single person I've worked with on OF was a pre-established SW worker prior to me. Other than my one ex, most of them in the same range as me by a year or two, and a majority of them older than me, so I really don't understand where this narrative started. Every single video I have ever made is still up." That's actually not true, because she's had to remove videos and content because the exes asked her to, which she still tried to sell. If you wanted to go fact check this, you can message the people I have worked with and question their age differences to me. Never once has my content been a product of grooming, coercion, or force. Demanded that I don't delete your comment but address this on my page is wild, because what gives you the audacity to dictate how my page is managed? It seems like you read something online and immediately believe it without being willing to hear both sides to a story. This is what I'm talking about by these being like strange hills to climb. One hater posts on Reddit, "Stop profiting off your exes, Dana. Gabby previously requested you to remove all videos of them on OF and MF, and she had asked you repeatedly and also report you repeatedly to get these videos down. It is absolutely abhorrent that you're still marketing off to someone who doesn't consent to being shared anymore. Gabby is out of SW industry. They wish not to have their bodies shared amongst people now. This is genuinely one of the lowest things. And as far as I'm concerned, Nani also does not associate themselves with you anymore. Stop sharing the corn you made with people who don't associate with you anymore just because they're more attractive than you are." We have some anecdotes later from Gabby. Dana says, "I took down all my videos with my ex from when I was in a throuple. But if you would like to buy them, I can send them to you in a folder for $60. Also took down all the videos with my former submissive Nani. And if you would like to buy a bundle of those, it's also $60. If you'd like to buy both bundles, it's $100 sale. Save 20 when you buy both. Lord almighty. And her response to this also appeared to be illogical. Dana posted on her OF, it looks like, "Hi, I was previously in the past 2 months offering sales of content no longer publicly available on this site, as I was operating off the knowledge that I was allowed to sell it PPV off-site, as long as it wasn't posted on-site." So somebody went to her and said they no longer want her selling the content on her site, and she assumed that meant she could sell it off-site. That's what she's saying. "Today it was brought to my attention that the consent involved in this selling of old content among all parties involved has changed. The end of an era! Sorry to disappoint, but if you'd like to see old content that is no longer available here on this account, it is just retired and no longer available for sale. I will personally be deleting the content from my own hard drive out of respect for people involved who have retired from SW and changed their consent. You will no longer be able to have access to this content from me. I will personally be deleting content from my own hard drive out of respect for the people involved that have retired from SW and changed their consent. You will no longer be able to access content of me with people whom are ex-friends or ex-partners out of respect for them. And as respect for my personal mental health space, thank you for understanding." One hater alleging, once again, only doing the right thing because they were blasted publicly online, not because it was just the right thing to do. Another alleging, yep, she's literally only doing this because she got caught. She had no issue with it when G and N repeatedly told her they weren't comfortable anymore, and had no issue when she thought she could sneakily make a quick buck through a DM. I have no respect for Dana, for real. Now we're going to go over what seems to be bad logic and hypocritical statements from Dana. Here she's saying, "As for Nani, I have already removed her content as requested and she will not be mentioned again. I respect her wishes. We're still friends and we texted this morning about this very issue on what her boundaries were on selling content to make sure I was understanding correctly. At this point, I consider the matter closed. I have done what was asked of me. Despite the lack of direct communication, I will not engage further back and forth about an issue that has already been resolved. I want to be clear that I cannot be held legally liable when there was no direct communication to me revoking consent or requesting the removal of content. I was not acting out of malice. I was acting based on the information available to me at the time. Had I been directly informed that Gabby no longer wanted the content sold, I would have immediately honored the request, just as I did once it was brought to my attention." It's strange for her to say that when she said this also. You can withdraw consent. Someone can always withdraw consent. You can't claim that getting consent in the first place meant you were allowed to do anything you want. This is not the hot take you think it is. You can revoke consent to share your body with someone if you end up not vibing well, in pleasure and in business. Clear communication goes a long way. I intentionally have boundaries around who I do and don't collab with as a preventative. Well, that's strange that she said this because she was also behind the scenes saying that one thing. Here she's saying, just a little salty that 6 months ago I was asking him to collab with me and he straight up turned me down because he viewed me as a bro friend. And now he's trying to collaborate with people. Not trying to sound like I'm not humble, but my following for what I do would have helped him immensely. And it's just kind of garbage that he gives himself the label of SW, but doesn't put the work in SW because he wouldn't have blank with me because we were friends. When I wasn't viewing it as a intimate encounter, I was viewing it as work collaboration. They respond, maybe he's looking for something specifically with people he feels comfortable doing that type of work with. Dana says, I kind of want to respond to it and be like, I'm still available, just to see what he says. Honestly, not that I'm even super interested anymore after his character development lately. If he's looking for something specific, he should state that what he's looking for. He should also feel comfortable doing SW with any workers that he has included in his close friend story. That's why they're on his close friend story to begin with. If he was picky on only working with select people, the reality is that he already has those people picked out in his mind, and he should just reach out to them individually and professionally instead of fishing for responses on his story. Man, boys are dumb. One hater alleging, she comes off so desperate. I'm in town for 2 months, left on red and salty about it. This literally just makes Dana look bad. She looks so predatory and whiny. Why won't you have blank with me? frowny face. And just based on Dana's words here and Dana's words before, you can revoke consent to share your body with someone if you're not vibing well in pleasure and in business. Clear communication goes a long way. Now to me, that feels a little bit hypocritical on the logic. And then there's this: delete your ex's inappropriate images. You no longer have their permission to look at their exposed body. She says that and then does this: took down all my videos with my ex from when I was in a throuple, but if you'd like to buy them, go ahead, they're $60. The logic, looking strictly at the logic, it's not good. She did make a response to a lot of these things. She's made multiple responses to a lot of these things, but we're gonna go over this one. It's difficult to follow. I'll try to break it down best I can.
Hi, hello, it's me, Dana. Today, I wanted to talk about my personal life a little bit. I wanted to start by saying that everyone has skeletons in their closet, but when you are a social media influencer, even a small one like me, that door kind of gets flung wide open and suddenly people are pointing fingers like they've never made mistakes themselves. At this point, if you've heard something bad about me and choose to believe it, that's fine. I'm done trying to convince anyone otherwise at this point. The people who truly know me believe me and support me and are here, and that's enough.
It's not fine. If it was, a person wouldn't get on here and make a video like this.
I am not perfect. I have made mistakes. There are some really bad stories out there, and some of them are true. Some of them are exaggerated, and some of them are completely false. Like, it needs to be said that I've never gone to jail for anything, I've never been charged with anything, and I don't have any child neglect charges.
So there's some pretty bad fallacies here. Number one is that just because somebody's not been arrested for anything or been charged with anything doesn't mean that they've not done anything wrong. It's a fallacious argument to say that that is the case. The other thing is this is probably a blanket statement. She's speaking on things, but she's not saying what she's speaking on, so actually nobody knows. But you guys have a little bit of an idea now since I've made this journalistic piece.
I've just reached a point where I no longer feel the need to defend myself as hard as I have been. Of course I have skeletons in my closet. So do you. Don't expect me to be a flawless person because I'm not, and neither are you.
I personally have never been in any of the alleged situations that you're in, and I'd wager to bet that most people have not been in similar alleged situations. But to try to make them seem less serious than they are is not good. If you have serious alleged situations like this, you should handle them in a serious way and address them in a serious manner.
I was born just a few months after dial-up internet was invented. My parents got me my first computer at the age of 4, and my mom spent 20 years as a professional coder before transitioning to medical coding for a surgery center when technology evolved. So to say I know my way around the internet is an understatement. I have built brands, managed accounts, and marketed for bands that are now hugely successful in the industry. The internet? It's kind of my thing.
So you're a millennial. Me too. Means nothing. And your mom being a coder means nothing. I grew up with at least 3 friends that were good at coding, and we all had MySpace. I don't know what the argument is being made here.
But let's be real for a second. I am not a perfect person, as I have stated. I have made mistakes like anyone else. The difference is, when I mess up, I hold myself accountable to the people I've actually wronged, not to the entire internet. And that's exactly what I did 5 months ago when a situation happened. I took responsibility, I apologized directly to the people involved, and whether or not they want to accept my apology, that is on them.
No, absolutely nobody knows what she's talking about. This is what the blanket statement is. She's not saying what it is that she's addressing. That we would like to know. I have no idea. You have no idea.
These last few weeks, things have spiraled in ways that are completely unacceptable. People have taken these situations into real life, contacting my job, threatening my small business, and even dragging my child into it. Despite the care I take to protect my child's privacy, people are using her full name in public comments and making threats towards her. And let me be very clear, this is not okay.
From what I've seen, it's within the realm of possibility that you are wrong. But I will say, if anybody's doing these types of things, then the police needs to be contacted immediately. This is you. This is you. This is you. The tattoo of her name is you. I had to blur her name right here. This is a post from Tumblr from about 6 years ago. These are all things that you posted. Everything that I'm talking about, you posted.
And for the people that are spreading rumors about me doxing others, it's not doxing if it's public information. When someone recently publicly harassed me using their own full government name on a Facebook account, a quick Google search gave me 2 addresses. I simply asked, "Hey, which one is yours?" to be a little. And instead of denying either one of them, they confirmed, "That's my address and the other one is my grandma's." And it's not my fault that they lack discretion.
You are incorrect about what doxing is. Just because you find it on Google does not mean that you can post it. That is the very definition of doxing.
Dox.
Search for and publish private or identifying information about a particular individual on the internet, typically with malicious intent. It sounds like you're intimidating people with threats. It also sounds like you told on yourself. Now, just because it's on Google doesn't mean you can post it. I need to emphasize that. There is CSA on the internet. You can't post that. That's a felony. Now, if the information has been publicly posted by an individual, it's not. It comes down to intent. If you are maliciously trying to hurt someone, that is not okay. That is doxing, even if it's on Google. If you find somebody's address, their name, and you take it and put it on another platform, that's doxing. It's a little bit nuanced, but there you go. I've been doing this for a while. Trust me, this is how it works.
So let me make something crystal clear here. I will do whatever I need to do to protect my family. Threaten me, you'll face consequences. I have an attorney. I'm in every hate group of mine lurking. And believe me, I am smarter at the internet than most of you. At the end of the day, I understand that being a public figure, even a small one like myself, comes with scrutiny and bad publicity. But here's the thing. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be more intentional with what I share in my content going forward, but if you think your threats will scare me off, you're wasting your time. Haters come with the territory of success. Maybe all this attention just means I'm on my way to where I want to be. So say what you want, believe what you want. I'm still doing better than most of the people spending their time making Reddit accounts about me. The one thing I will strongly defend myself on is the fact that I have never been to jail, I have never lost my kid, and I have never received any legal charges, and any CPS cases that are tied to my name aren't because of me or anything I have done.
We went over 2 CPS cases in this video that are directly related to you.
But people talk and haters run with anything. If you're here to support me as a regular person who messes up sometimes but is doing their best to share their life authentically and educate on poly through personal lived experiences, hi, hello, my name is Dana. I'm not going anywhere, and I'm happy to be here to educate you.
I hope you stick around, Dana. That being said, I have 3 witness anecdotes I'd like to go over. 2 of them are previous exes, and 1 is someone who went to one of these intimate parties. Again, these are anecdotes from alleged witnesses, not empirical evidence. In civil cases, we go over anecdotes to try to put things within the realm of possibility. That being said, let's go over the first. I asked, "How did you come to know about her?" She said, "So I met Dana through a mutual friend we had, and I liked their photography skills. So I reached out to them and asked if they would do a photo shoot for me, which they agreed and came to my home to do the photo shoot, and that's how we met." I asked, "How did you end up at her party?" So I went to their party. I flew up from Florida to Tennessee because they were hosting content making party for like 4 days straight. And so I went and stayed at their house for 4 days. And I found out about it because they messaged me personally asking if I would be interested in coming. And I said, yes. Her mother was ill. Was she there when you went? Yeah, she was there, and also Tiny Human was there too. I said, how did that dynamic work? Did you see them while you were there? I'm assuming this was a normal house that she calls a unique living situation. I did see them. They remained upstairs. Dana lives in a multi-level house, so the basement is where I was at most of the time. But we were allowed to go upstairs as long as we weren't like actively doing anything inappropriate. So I went up a few times because Dana invited me to have dinner with her family. I see. Was that an odd request? Did she talk about inappropriate things at the table? It made me a little uncomfortable because of the reason I was there. I was under the impression that would be more of a professional studying more than a personal home setting, if that makes sense. I'm usually used to like content houses being like strictly for content. There's no kids, no parents, anything like that. So yeah, it was out of the ordinary weird for me. They talked about weird things like why I was there, but she kind of coded it in a way Tiny Human wouldn't know. I didn't understand the type of situation, but their mom knew what Dana was talking about. And then she replied yes to it being a normal house with a full-size basement. And then I asked if they had any evidence of Tiny Human being downstairs. And then she sent me some pictures with inappropriate things in the background, pictures of the child on the pole. And then I asked if she actually ever cleaned the pole, because that would be gross. The 4 days that I was there, they cleaned it once. They also allowed people to be completely naked on the side pole, and the very next day, they would allow Tiny Human to use it. And then she explains to me the layout of the home and somehow had like the layout of like the structure of the home, and I feel like I can't show that, so I'm not going to. Do you think Tiny Human saw anything disturbing during those times, or things that a child shouldn't see? And then she said X-rated magazines, the pictures on the walls, the toys. Downstairs bathroom had phallic-shaped soap you'd wash your hands with, and Dana didn't scurry to hide anything. Was anyone at the party without clothes or engaging in inappropriate things while Tiny Human was in the house? Yes, she was upstairs. How many people would typically attend? Anywhere from 10 to 30 people, depending on the party. Were there any illegal substances at these parties? Yes, there were. She lists a couple. Did you see Tiny Human at all during these parties? Yes, she came down a couple times to socialize with us and read us stories and would dance on the pole they had. Now we're moving on to anecdote 2, which is one of the exes. I think they were together for a few months, named Shania, I believe. I think this is Shayna. I said, okay, there are a few things I'm concerned about. Individuals that had certain diseases at the parties, her child being present on the areas, and damage she caused. And again, this is all alleged. I normally wouldn't speak about this stuff, but seeing as the setting of the situation, I believe it is important to tell you that stuff like this is going on for your own safety. To be honest, I'm not sure about diseases. I believe Dana has always hidden the fact that she has one from a lot of people, because even I'm finding out about that. She also doesn't get checked out regularly like she should between partners, old or new. I remember in the past, I was home during one instant where Dana was having a 4 people get together and shooting content with their friends and partners, and Eli and Tiny Human were down the hall. When it comes to damages, it's been mostly mental and emotional. She used to hold her intimacy over my head, used to hold not being a man or having a thing downstairs to gaslight me, manipulate me. It was always 2v1, slander me to her own friends and partners, and they would come to me specifically and tell me. She wanted me all to herself. I met her January of 2022 and moved in with her as soon as March of 2022 and ended things in April. I wasn't going to say anything about what I experienced with her until she went to social media to slander me. I did see Dana calling her a narcissist. Let's play that.
So it turns out that narcissists fall in love really fast when they need a place to stay. That didn't work out, so.
I asked, why did you decide to move in with her? She said, when I met her, I thought we hit it off as friends. I thought it would have been just a friendship. I moved in with her because I needed a place to stay. It was until I moved in with her, I started to see things for what they were and how she was. I said, what did you see? And did she ask you to move in, or did you ask? She said she asked me to move in, and that she saw someone who was confident, LMFAO. I said, was the child around inappropriate things? She said, yes. I said, what kind of things? She said, poles, paddles, floggers, and toys. I said, one thing I'm seeing is a pattern of sourcing individuals for inappropriate things via social media and Tinder. She said, that's one source, or going out to bars and picking up someone under the influence. How would they go about doing this? Just feeding drinks to people and pushing themselves on others. I said people said there were experiences of emotional and psychological abuse while in relationships with Dana. They described manipulation, coercion into inappropriate activities, and inappropriate substance use. The toxic relationship dynamics. Can you highlight any of these things? She said, correct. Dana has tried to manipulate, coerce me into doing things with them. I never did. Dana has touched me, my partner, and friends unwanted. Dana has also tried to get other people to do illegal substances. And then I asked, do you think a video is needed about this subject and why? Honestly, yes. There are many more victims of Dana all throughout the Reddit page who lurk, and some who have not come forward. I think it would do them justice. past victims and current victims a chance to finally be heard. Dana has gotten away with a lot of bad things for far too long. Now we're going to move on to anecdote 3, which is an ex named Gabby. I asked if she could explain how they met. Yeah, we met on Tinder back in October 2022 when I was pretty fresh from a breakup with a long-term boyfriend at the time. We were monogamous for over 4 years, and I felt like I needed to explore poly. We went on a date or two in November, December of 2022, but we didn't start seeing each other more often until March, April of 2023. Started seeing each other more seriously at the beginning of the summer. I asked if the previous relationship was monogamous and you wanted to explore poly with her. Yes to the first half, no to the poly in general. Dana and I didn't meet until a few weeks after the breakup, and Dana was the first actually practicing poly person I met from Tinder and actively went on a date with. So you went on a date with just her. Yeah, for the first handful of dates it was just us. I didn't meet Eli until about April 2022. Eli is the current guy? And were they already together at the point of you going on dates? Yes, Eli is their so-called husband, and they'd been together for 4 to 5 years by the time we got together. I said, why did you stop seeing them? That's a big old question, LMFAO. I have to voice memo my answer. I said, okay.
There was quite a lot that led to our breakup. I was in therapy, still am, same therapist. And over time, there was a lot of stuff that I let slide about their behavior that I didn't like, or that I didn't with in some shape or form. And having witnessed them directly hurt somebody that we all cared about because they couldn't admit that they had done wrong, they had done any wrong whatsoever, I couldn't get past that. And I was really, really angry at them for not being able to admit that they had up. And if they couldn't admit that they up when it came to our friends, then they would never be able to admit that they ever up in any capacity when it came to our relationship. So I left. So when it came to Eli, one sec. If I had stayed with Eli but didn't stay with Dana, even then that didn't feel right, because I knew that would have caused Dana a lot of, strife, I guess. But I also felt that Eli was some kind of accomplice to Dana, or enabler, which is even worse, in my opinion. And I tried talking to him about Dana and their behavior, but all he said was that, he thought they were doing better, and wouldn't really push Dana to be better. And I don't know, just over time, some of his behavior was alarming to me, and I never brought it up because it felt dumb and stupid to even bring it up. But yeah, I left them both because they both have a ton of issues and they're in their 30s.
I said, thanks. Who did they hurt? A mutual friend of ours, by pushing them to do illegal substances even though they were sober from illegal substances for over a year, at her birthday party no less. Dana swore up and down that she'd said, maybe later, the first time they asked. Second time they said no. Dana swears they only asked twice and stopped after the first no. Other witnesses say, nope, they kept asking, saying it wasn't even much to get a lift off of, just a little. I said, what did Eli enable and what was his alarming behavior? Dana's meltdowns and their continuously harmful behavior. He never pushed Dana to be a more present mother. He never said, you gotta do better. Never said anything outright against Dana for possibly fear of having to clean that mess up because Dana would cry and cry with any criticism. His alarming behavior was that he was 31 years old and he didn't know what emotions he was feeling at the time. I was teaching him skills of emotional regulation that I learned in therapy. He kicked Eloise, their late dog, for peeing on the carpet several times. He just seemed devoid of emotion, any energy, negative or positive, and simply wanted to just exist and not talk about heavy stuff. Why did Dana need to be pushed to be a better mother? Because they never did anything beyond making sure she was fed and clothed. Talking about the child. Anytime the kid was having a normal meltdown, Dana would get frustrated with her and often yell back at her. Rarely spent one-on-one time with her. Never bathed her. That was Eli's job, which he only did once a week because Dana didn't have the patience to detangle their daughter's curly hair. They put their needs over their child's needs despite constantly claiming that my child comes first priority. They left their child home alone some nights without a babysitter because, oh, she'll be fine and she'll be sleeping. I never felt comfortable saying anything because it would always be brought back to me if I was willing to pay for a babysitter on top of what I paid them bi-weekly. If I was going to take on more of her baths or cook for her and get her ready for school. They weren't a very present parent then, and it's gotten worse from what they've shared online. If you've made it this far in the video and you like this type of content, want to see more like this or updates on the current topics, then consider smashing that subscribe button and help us get to 327,000 subscribers. Also, I'd like to thank you to my patrons for being awesome. Every single one of you. Really appreciate it. And if you want to become a patron, you can join if you'd like and get your name at the end of my videos. You're all great. Rep Squad is the best squad.